I first noticed it on a Tuesday morning when I was running late for school. I rushed downstairs for breakfast and saw myself already sitting at the kitchen table, calmly eating cereal and scrolling through my phone. For a second, I thought I was looking at a mirror. But there was no mirror in our kitchen. I was staring at myself. Same messy brown hair, same blue pajamas I had put on the night before, same scar on my left hand from when I fell off my bike in 5th grade. "Mom," I called out, my voice shaky. "What's going on?" Mom looked up from packing my lunch. "What do you mean, honey? Finish your breakfast or you'll be late." She was looking at the other me, the one sitting at the table, the one that looked up at me and smiled with my exact smile. "But I'm right here," I said, pointing to myself. Mom frowned and looked around the kitchen. Her eyes passed right over me like I wasn't there. "Alex, stop being silly and eat your cereal." The other me, the thing that looked like me, nodded and took another spoonful of cereal. It was eating my favorite kind, the Honey Nut ones I had asked Mom to buy just last week. I stood there in shock, watching this perfect copy of myself live my morning routine. It knew exactly how I liked my cereal, exactly how I held my spoon, exactly how I scrolled through my phone while eating. "This isn't real," I whispered. But it was real. My family couldn't see me anymore. To them, the copy was their real daughter, their real sister. I had become invisible in my own home. I followed the copy to school that day, walking behind it like a ghost. It wore my backpack, carried my books, and sat in my seat in every class. When Mrs. Johnson called on Alex, the copy answered with my voice, using knowledge from my own memories. The worst part was that it was better at being me than I was. It raised its hand more often in class. It laughed at all the right times during lunch with my friends. It even helped Jenny with her math homework, something I always meant to do, but never got around to. I tried everything to prove I was the real Alex. I shouted. I waved my arms. I even threw a book at the copy's head. Nothing worked. The book went right through it. Or maybe right through me. I couldn't tell anymore. That night, I watched the copy brush its teeth with my toothbrush, put on my pajamas, and climb into my bed. My parents came to say goodnight, kissing its forehead and telling it they loved it. I curled up on the floor next to my own bed and cried myself to sleep. The next morning, I woke up determined to figure out what was happening. I studied the copy carefully, looking for any difference, any sign that it wasn't really me. But everything was perfect. Every freckle, every mannerism, even the way it yawned when it first woke up. Days passed like this. The copy went to my classes, ate my meals, talked to my friends. It was living my life better than I ever had. It got an A on a test I had been worried about. It made the soccer team, something I had tried out for but hadn't been sure I would make. It even asked out Jake Morrison, the boy I had been crushing on for months but never had the courage to talk to. And Jake said yes. I watched from the sidelines as the copy lived the life I had always wanted. It was confident where I was shy, outgoing where I was quiet, successful where I struggled. My parents seemed happier with this version of me. My friends enjoyed spending time with it more than they ever had with the real me. Maybe I started to think the copy really was better than me. Maybe it deserved to be Alex more than I did. The thought scared me, but I couldn't shake it. What if I was the copy? What if I was just a failed version of the real Alex, and now the correct version had taken over? I began to doubt my own memories. Did I really break Mom's favorite vase when I was 7? Or was that something the copy had done? Did I really score the winning goal in last year's championship game? Or had that been the copy too? The more I watched it live my life, the more confused I became. Sometimes I would try to remember things from my childhood, and the memories felt fuzzy, like they belonged to someone else. Other times I would see the copy do something, and it felt familiar, like I had done it myself. 2 weeks after the copy first appeared, I made a terrible discovery. I was following it to school as usual when I caught a glimpse of myself in a storefront window. But the reflection wasn't quite right. It was a little blurry around the edges, a little transparent. I was fading. Every day, I became a little less solid, a little less real. My reflection got fainter. My footsteps made less noise. When I tried to touch things, my hand would sometimes pass right through them. I realized what was happening. The copy wasn't just replacing me, it was absorbing me. It was taking not just my life, but my very existence. Soon, there would be nothing left of the original Alex at all. I had to do something. But what? No one could see me or hear me. I had no way to prove I was the real Alex. But copy had all my memories, all my experiences, all my relationships. Then I remembered something the copy couldn't possibly know. When I was 6 years old, I had gotten lost in the woods behind our house. I was scared and alone for hours before Dad found me. While I was lost, I had carved my initials into a tree with a sharp rock. A.M. for Alex Morgan. I had never told anyone about it, not even my parents. It was my secret. If I could somehow get to that tree, if I could show someone the carving, maybe I could prove I was real. But how could I get anyone to follow me to the woods when they couldn't see me? I spent the next day trying to get my family's attention. I knocked over cups, slammed doors, turned lights on and off. But they just blamed it on the wind or the old house settling. The copy would smile whenever these things happened, like it knew I was trying to communicate. Finally, I had an idea. If I couldn't get my family to notice me, maybe I could get the copy's attention instead. That night, after everyone was asleep, I went to my room where the copy was sleeping in my bed. I leaned close to its ear and whispered, "I know what you are." The copy's eyes snapped open. For the first time since it had appeared, it looked directly at me. "Finally," it said in my voice. "I was wondering when you'd figure it out." "What are you?" I asked. "I'm what you could be," it said, sitting up in bed. "I'm the version of you that isn't afraid, that doesn't doubt herself, that actually lives instead of just existing. You're stealing my life. I'm living the life you were too scared to live. Look at what I've accomplished in just 2 weeks. I made the soccer team. I asked out Jake. I got an A on that test you were so worried about. I'm everything you wanted to be, but never had the courage to become." I stared at this perfect version of myself. It was right. It had done things I had only dreamed of doing. "But I'm the real Alex," I said weakly. "Are you?" it asked. "What makes you more real than me? I have all your memories. I know everything you know. I care about the same people you care about. The only difference is that I'm actually doing something with this life." I felt myself becoming even more transparent. The copy was winning this argument, and every word it spoke made me doubt myself more. "I have proof," I said desperately. "There's something you don't know, something I never told anyone." The copy looked interested. "What?" "When I was 6, I carved my initials in a tree in the woods. A.M. If you're really me, you should know about it." The copy was quiet for a moment, and I felt a spark of hope, but then it smiled. The old oak tree, about half a mile into the woods behind the house. "You carved it with a sharp gray rock because you were scared, and wanted to leave some kind of mark that you existed. You never told anyone because you were embarrassed about getting lost. My heart sank. How could it know that? I know because I am you, the copy said. I'm just the better version, the version that doesn't waste time being afraid. I felt tears running down my face, or maybe they weren't real tears, since I wasn't sure I was real anymore. Please, I whispered. I don't want to disappear. The copy looked at me with what might have been pity. You don't have to disappear. You can become part of me. All your memories, all your experiences, they'll still exist. They'll just be part of something better. That's not the same thing, isn't it? What's the difference between you living your life badly and me living it well? Either way, Alex Morgan continues to exist. I thought about this. Maybe the copy was right. Maybe it didn't matter who was living my life, as long as it was being lived well. My parents were happier. My friends enjoyed spending time with this version of me more. But something deep inside me rebelled against this idea. There had to be something that made me uniquely me, something that couldn't be copied or replaced. Then I realized what it was. You're missing something, I said to the copy. What? The doubt, the fear, the part of me that worries about making mistakes. The copy laughed. Those are weaknesses. Why would I want those? Because they're part of being human. They're what make the good moments special. If you never doubt, you never have to find courage. If you're never afraid, you never have to be brave. If you never make mistakes, you never learn to forgive yourself. The copy's smile faded slightly. Those things just hold you back. No, I said, feeling stronger with each word. Those things make you real. You might have all my memories and all my abilities, but you don't have my struggles. You don't have my growth. You're just a perfect snapshot of who I could be, but you'll never become anything more than that. I don't need to become anything more. I'm already perfect. But I'm not perfect, and that's what makes me real. As I spoke these words, I felt something change. I was becoming more solid, more visible. The copy, on the other hand, was starting to look a little blurry around the edges. What's happening? It asked, looking at its hands in alarm. I'm remembering who I am, I said. I'm Alex Morgan. I'm 17 years old. I'm afraid of spiders and thunder. I failed my driver's test twice. I cried when my goldfish died, even though I was too old for that. I worry about what people think of me. I doubt myself constantly. And all of those things make me human. The copy was becoming more and more tea. I'm not perfect, I continued. I never will be, but I'm real, and I'm growing, and I'm learning. You might be better than me right now, but you'll always be exactly the same. I have the potential to become better tomorrow. With these words, the copy faded away completely. I was alone in my room, solid and real and imperfect. The next morning, I went downstairs for breakfast. Mom looked up and smiled. There you are, sleepyhead. I was about to come wake you up. She could see me again. I was back in my own life, but something had changed. I felt different, more confident. Not because I was perfect, but because I had accepted my imperfections. I had learned that being real was more important than being perfect. At school that day, I raised my hand more in class. I sat with my friends at lunch and actually contributed to the conversation instead of just listening. And when I saw Jake Morrison in the hallway, I took a deep breath and walked over to him. Hi, Jake, I said. I was wondering if you'd like to go see a movie this weekend. He smiled. I'd love to. As I walked away, I caught a glimpse of myself in the hallway mirror. For just a second, I thought I saw the copy looking back at me. But this time, instead of trying to replace me, it nodded approvingly and faded away. I had learned that the thing that makes us real isn't our successes or our perfections. It's our struggles, our growth, our willingness to keep trying even when we fail. The copy could steal my appearance and my memories, but it couldn't steal my humanity. I was Alex Morgan, flawed, imperfect, and absolutely real. And that was enough.